And thanks for joining us for another edition of Weekend Winners, proudly brought to you by One Equine. We are focused on Garrard's race night at Sunshine Sprint Race Night, an iconic event here in the Sunshine State. Over the mile, and the champ fronts up again, leap to fame. He won this race last year, race record time, 150.2. He's an odds-on favourite to go back-to-back. He's looking to become the first horse since Hector JJ to go back-to-back, winning the Sunshine Sprint. It's a great race, first stage back in 1983. The honour roll is fantastic, and whichever way it pans out tomorrow night, another great name is going to be added to that honour roll. To be going through all of the form races for all of the features, we've got the Golden Girl, we've got the Hayden, we've got plenty of other features, the Trotters Sprint, we've got the JC McMullen. It's a star-studded program, 10 in total, kicking off at 5:09. We're going to hear from Angus Garrard, Shane Graham, two of our leading drivers here in the state. They've got some key drives, so we'll get their thoughts a little bit later. But Ryan Spice and Darren Clayton are both back with me. Gents, firstly, Darren, talk about evolution. Slowest ever running of the Sunshine Sprint was the first edition, amazing trick in 1983. And last year, we got a race record, 150.2. We've come a long way.
Certainly have, and you can just see that evolution. It's slowly coming down and down. Tomorrow night, do we see sub 150?
Well, Ryan, he was awesome last week, Larry. There's no question about it. Probably one of his best ever victories, just for the sheer dominance that he displayed. Does he go sub 50 tomorrow night?
I'm going to say no, purely for the fact Hi, my name is Jeff has drawn the back row. If he had drawn the front row, I think it was on the cards.
Yeah, but he is drawn to follow out behind Leap to Fame. Hi, my name is Jeff. I think tactically this is going to be some sort of race, because I wouldn't be shocked if Grant Dixon's happy to park outside the leader and just sort of control the tempo from that position. Do you agree?
I think that would be the optimum spot, but I'm pretty sure if District Attorney can clear, they're going to slam the brakes on and try and force him to the front.
Okay, what is the highlight race? Is it that race, or is there something else on that card that catches your eye?
The race that's really caught my eye is the JC McMullen. I'm really keen to see the Chantel Turpin trained Duke of Scotland again.
Okay. Your thoughts? What's the highlight race for you tomorrow night, Darren?
Yeah, I think that the two-year-old race.
Yeah.
It's just got so many layers to it as we head to next week's Protostar, and there's a bit of unknown and there's plenty of hype.
Yeah, there certainly is. As I said, 10 races coming through tomorrow night. We're going to preview all of these features. The first race that is set for discussion is the JC McMullen, and that won't be too far away. The first of our features to look at Albion Park on Saturday night is the JC McMullen. Last year, What a Roller was able to shoot the victory and score. Who is going to take honours on Saturday night? Well, time will certainly tell. All eyes are going to be on this ex-Kiwi, Duke of Scotland. 2 for 2 for Chantel Turpin and Pete McMullen. Pete had the choice of a few drives in this race. He's opted to stick with this big giant Kiwi. So let's see what he's got to offer. And let's look at his last start replay, Duke of Scotland. As I said, he's had 2 starts, 2 victories, 53-2 scoring first up. And then last time out, took it up another notch, going 152.6 coming off the speed. That's him at the home turn, deep out, looking to run down the leader, Sweet Agenda. And he was able to pick up that mare pretty quickly. And he looks like he's a very progressive type. Ryan, how do you rate Duke of Scotland?
Chris, I think he's the runner in the race with unlimited upside. We just don't know how good he is. First up from New Zealand, pinged out, took a set and just ducked down through the sprint lane, and then made a big giant step there, running, I think it was 52.6, chasing down the bunny, wide off the track at the home turn. Yeah, he looks really progressive, and I know the stable have a really big opinion of him.
Okay, no doubt this would have been a race, a key target race for him, given the connection of the stable with the race name. So, Darren, Duke of Scotland, obviously set for this race. It's a step up, but he draws to advantage gate 3. Do we see Pete McMullen get aggressive early and try and put him on the engine here?
Well, we've seen him show that speed in his first up run. Like Ryan said, he pinged out, got to the front, but then took the trail. Showed great speed finishing them off. We saw his speed there, finishing them off wide off the track. I'm not really sure what their tactics are. We've seen him hand up, so do they hand up again? Kalasa to his outside is another one that you could flip a coin with his tactics of late. He's led, he's sat back, he can do it all. So what they do with him, I guess, sort of sets it up. And then Ironclad finally gets a good gate, 3rd run back. And this is a 3-year-old that I think is a really nice type. Just hasn't had any luck in those 2 runs back. The way I've gone is Kalasa getting to the front, Duke of Scotland first, Kalasa to the front, and that should give a perfect trip. Western Arterra is also a go-forward horse. Where does he position? Does he ultimately have to be the one to roll the sleeves? So under that scenario, Kalasa in front, Duke of Scotland in the trail, and from there they sort of fill their positions, they roll back. Safer's an interesting one. If Ironclad holds up, brings him right into the race. He was good last week, but got shuffled to 3-4 fence, hung terribly on the first turn.
Uncontrollable.
Yeah, Nathan Dawson did well to even hold on to him. He was hanging that bad. So if they've ironed him out and he's in a right spot, he can certainly finish off as well. So really good little race, this one.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a real tactical affair. So the start's going to be key here, but I think Duke of Scotland holds the whip hand. It's, if he gets to the peg line first, who does he release? Do they want him in that position where he's, following like he was first up? So it's going to be an interesting race. I thought that the main two were Ironclad and Duke of Scotland. I thought Ironclad, both of his runs so far this prep have been really good. Unlucky last week, sectionally really strong. So the fact that he draws barrier 1, he's going to be the big improver. I'm going to go 3 to beat 1. Safer, for the reasons you outlined, there was a few issues, so they'll probably tinker with some gear changes. He can certainly feature here, and this is a good setup for Nathan Dawson. He's a great peg driver, so he'll give him every chance. And Elder Magician, he's been more than okay. So I'm going 3, 1, 8, 9. Ryan, how did you see it?
Yeah, I've got Duke of Scotland on top. I think he can win whether he gets to the front or not. With his gate speed that we've seen so far, I do think, though, Ironclad has enough early toe to dictate the map. But if the pressure's unrelenting and they're 3 and 4 deep into that first turn, they keep pouring it on, maybe Duke of Scotland can get his way to the front. And if that's the case, I'm thinking Pete's holding up here. He's not going to be handing in this significant race. Ironclad, excellent in the Derby, devoid of luck. When he got to the outside, he really did ping home nicely. I have a big opinion of him. I think he's nice and progressive. Safer, just draws the pegs, mile racing. There's not going to be any respite here. It's going to be, I think, handlebars down. And Kalasa's got very good ability. Not sure where it gets to.
Okay. So Duke of Scotland's interesting. If he wins this race, it makes the form look good for Sweet on Lexi and that Wayne Wilson Memorial Paleface Adios a little bit later. And, he's looming as some sort of knockout hope in that race. But Duke of Scotland's got to win this race first.
Yeah, that's right. So Sweet on Lexi was 3 fence in that race that Duke of Scotland won. His last 100 strong there. So, yeah, I've got 3, 1, 4, 2 as my numbers. I think Duke of Scotland, whether he gets to the front, sits outside of him, I think Pete McMullen can march him to the top of the hill and march him down again.
Okay, well, we'll all be cheering Duke of Scotland there in the JC McMullen. That's the first of our features. It's over the mile. They're shorter run time, 52.2 last year. What a roller winning this race. So that's the JC McMullen. We've still got plenty more to come. One of the big ones on Saturday night is the Hayden. There's great prize money up for grabs, but more so, the winner of this race is guaranteed to represent Racing Queensland in the world's richest race, the Eureka, coming up at Menangle in early September. Last year, this race was won by Speak the Truth. He was then unplaced in the Eureka. It was a star-studded lineup in the Eureka. So this year's edition is going to be quite intriguing. No standout performer. A couple of the big guns, they've been to the well in recent times. So how do they handle this week-to-week hard racing? Who stands tall? Well, we're about to dissect this race. Darren, as I said, plenty at stake, good prize money, but more so the chance to race for huge prize money in Sydney for the Menangle. It's not an easy race to pull apart.
It's not, and with that in mind, a little bit added pressure, puts the drivers in under not so much wanting to get out and go as hard as they can, but they want to optimise their chance of getting in this big one. But there's a fairly hefty check on offer before they get to that. So, you can't count your chickens before they hatch, so to speak. And it's going to be a really interesting race, this one. I don't think there's a clear standout. I think last year, Speak the Truth probably really was a standout, especially the form he was in. This year, for real life, was potentially that, maybe not so.
Yeah, well, last year it was a race in 2 with Speak the Truth captain Shuffles. Let's have a look at the replay of Ella Street. This is a 3-year-old that's in really good form. The bubble burst, so to speak, last time out following big victories at Redcliffe. He took out the Garrard's 3-year-old Sales Series final. And then the following start in the Derby, even better than what he was winning that Sales Series race. He got beat up in the Queensland Sun, but His form prior very good, and he draws perfectly here in gate 2, so they've got options. Ryan, the other one that's interesting in this race is Free Thinker. Given that he's owned by Kevin and Kay Seymour, they've got a slot in the Eureka. So if he wins this race, and he's a terrific chance, there goes his spot for potentially their own slot. So it's going to make it quite interesting to see how this plays out.
Yeah, well, they've got a strong hand here in this race, Kevin and Kay Seymour, so in some ways more power to them with if they can take the victory here, then they will have perhaps an even stronger hand in the Eureka to come. So, yeah, hats off.
All right, how do you sort of look at this race and who comes out on top for you?
Yeah, I've defaulted back to Ellis Street here, thinking that he's going to be first to the pegs and then he can dictate his own fate. He's 5 from 6 when leading with Nathan Dawson in the cart. I'm kind of prepared to forgive his little flop in the Queensland Sun from the point of view he was on the back up from really hard racing at Redcliffe. This time he comes in with 2 weeks between runs, so I just felt there was room for him to be able to bounce back here. And he really was. He was only beaten 7 metres in the Queensland Sun in 54. So yeah, lots of hard racing for some of the key chances. So, but I was prepared to forgive Ellis Street because he gets the most favourable map.
Okay. Do you have him in front, Darren?
I can certainly entertain it. I think it's there. I'm just leaning towards they might just take a trail this time. Free Thinker sat outside, got forward and sat outside him in that Queensland Sun race. For Real Life, I think he needs to lead. We've seen him, his draws haven't sort of suited him of late, but I think this is the race he needs to get forward. I'm not confident that he can run the trip, but I think if he gets to the front, that gives him his best opportunity, and that would give a nice little trail to Ellis Street. Ragazzo di Tilly, drawn wide. What do? I think he's probably one of the stronger horses in the race, so do they have to drive him that way and hope for Real Life is vulnerable at the 2100. My Old Man Buddha, he's got really good early speed as well, so where they sort of posse up there, I think under that scenario, Free Thinker just gets the right trip, and I think driven a little bit colder, he might be the one, and he's the one I've marked on top. Just with For Real Life, you know, at his best, he wins this race. I'll just defer to you two. Where is this guy at?
Well, it's a great question. I think there was genuine excuses in the patron's purse. He had that flat tyre for the last 300, and he was chasing home the likes of District Attorney and Leap to Fame. 2 starts ago, hit the line really well. And then last week in the Rising Sun, I thought he was sound without being great. This has been, you've got to remember, this has been the key target race for quite some time. The fact that Trent Dawson went out, secured a slot for this race, this has always been a target race for him. And with that, if he wins this race, he then gets his chance in a race worth $2.1 million. That's life-changing for a young man like Trent Dawson. So I think he's going to be really aggressive here, because he can't afford to leave any chips on the table. It's all in or nothing, so I can entertain him, you know, making a real hard play for the front, taking over from Ellis Street, given that he failed last time out. I think if they're going to make a bold bid for victory, he's got to be in the front.
Yeah, I think he'd be stamped urgent early,
Yeah.
but perhaps the front might be there, say if Ragazzo di Tilly is the one to go forward and to be pushing hard as well, and maybe then Nathan Dawson thinks about taking the sit. But if it was just Free Thinker one out, I lean to Ellis Street saying no.
I'm not sure which way to go. I've ended up going with Free Thinker. He's got that nice trailing draw. If there is that early burn, he doesn't have to get involved, so he's going to be strong at the finish. His recent efforts have been really good. Probably unlucky not to get a start in the Rising Sun feature itself last week, so I'm going his way. For Real Life, I've got so much time for this guy, but this is do or die in many ways. They've just got to be super aggressive, try and give him every chance, and he goes best in front. There's no question about that. Ragazzo di Tilly and Ellis Street. I think the winner comes from that quartet. If they just overdo it, maybe it, you know, opens the race up for a potential blowout. But 9, 5, 6, 2 for me. Darren, which way are you going?
Yeah, pretty similar there. Free Thinker on top. I just think with those others to the front, he probably gives me the best confidence running on. A couple of those, just like I said, I'm just not really sure where they're at, so I'd prefer to be on Free Thinker. Ragazzo di Tilly, number 6. For Real Life, like I said, at his best, he wins this race, and you know, aggressive drive, gets to the front, can certainly entertain it. And Ellis Street, he'll be poking around there somewhere, so 9, 6, 5, 2.
Okay, but Ryan, you're going with the 3-year-old.
Yeah, I've come up with Ellis Street. I'm hoping he can bounce back strongly after being run over in the Queensland Sun. But as I said, it was off that really hard Derby victory at Redcliffe. I think 2 weeks between runs here, we can see him bounce back. Free thinker, he's been so progressive this campaign. He really has elevated himself, racing really, really well. For Real Life, yeah, I agree. I don't know where he's at. He seems to be more of a brilliant type of horse, so maybe the hard racing has blunted him a little bit and taken the edge off him. So yeah, I'm certainly couldn't entertain taking the shorts about him. And the Tax Collector, I think he can perhaps follow the pegs and poke through and fingers crossed run a race.
Okay, so 295.8 for you. Here's a question without notice, just in wrapping up the Hayden. So the winner of this race guaranteed to start in the Eureka. As it stands right now, Darren, I'm going to come to you first, so you get a little bit extra time to think about this. Who is the horse to beat for the Eureka right now?
Still Captain's Knock for mine.
Okay, Ryan?
Geez, Chris, I haven't really given this this a lot of thought. Maybe the WA horse?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, it's not easy. I think it's a lot more open this year compared to last year. Leap to Fame was the boom horse. As we know, he got beaten behind in Cypher. That's the Hayden. That's race number 5. That's the first leg of the main quaddie. The Group 1 Garrard's Golden Girl is a time-honoured feature and a key part of the Constellations now here in Queensland. Gerarda's Delight, the inaugural winner, followed by Town Echo, and last year race record Amore Vita in 150.5. She was able to get up and score narrowly, downing Manhattan. And it's interesting to point out, Manhattan is the only mare on the backup from last year's edition, but it's a star-studded lineup that we've got here on Saturday night. Ladies in Red, the champion mare, as we know, getting towards the end of her career. She drew favourably in Gate 2, and last week's Fleur de Lille winner and the Group 1 QE2 winner, RD's Express, has drawn the top of the track in Gate number 7. I think this is going to be an intriguing race, guys. Let's just have a look back at the replay of RD's Express winning last week's Fleur de Lille. That's her out in front. There was talk about whether she'd be able to hold up from the inside. She was able to do that. She took them all the way. It wasn't a big winning margin, but it was tradesman-like the way she went about it. So she's got Gate 7 this week, so this is going to be a big challenge. But I think just looking at this field, most were thinking Ladies in Red Gate 2, she'll just bounce in front, and that's the end of the section. I don't think it's going to be anything like that. I think this race is going to be quite tactical to Ryan because there's a number of connections that are willing to give it a go. Connections of Ludicrous have stated they want to hold the lead at all costs. So where does that leave some of these other mares? What were your thoughts on this mares race?
Yeah, I'm going to take the Ludicrous Connections at face value and anticipate that she is the one to control the map and be holding up here. So that, for me, leaves Ladies in Red parked out and doing it tough.
Okay. Darren, was it difficult assessing this sort of map for this race?
It was. It's interesting, those comments from the connections of the one horse. I don't know whether that's your best opportunity, but I don't know the horse inside out like they do, and they're the ones that are putting it in the race. I think if they do look to go all the way, that'd be a ludicrous idea. So I think Ladies in Red can push her way to the front. RD's Express, she was able to hold up there, and I think it just depends here because Oliver Bubbles, she drew behind RD's Express last week and couldn't hold its back. I think if Manhattan really runs the gate, she did last week, was able to squeeze in behind RD's Express, well then that might just set it up a little bit differently, and that could be a situation where Ludicrous is in front and Manhattan gets the back of Ludicrous. So just sort of toying around with that. I'm not confident that Ladies in Red is in front, but I think she has the class. She should probably be given the respect of getting to the front, but you know, they're two different scenarios altogether. They're different conversations. So Ladies in Red, I've got her in front on that, but like I said, it's a tricky one. RD's Express might be the one that has to sit parked. 4 starts over the mile in Australia. She's won all 4. This is at the mile, Gate 7. She'll improve off that run, you would think. Last week, her first look at Albion Park. So, you know, It's Ebony and Ivory slots in. This mare's absolutely flying, just no luck. Tay-Tay and I Keep Smiling, where they have to end up, is probably at the rear and making runs you would expect at some point. If they do burn hard, those two are certainly up to powering over the top.
Okay, let's talk about the favourite here, Ladies in Red, Ryan. She's banked more than $1 million. That's rare to see a mare earn $1 million. She was able to beat the boys last week in that free-for-all down there at Melton. Very rarely she's gone up against the boys. It wasn't a big winning margin downing Mac Dan. So, in your opinion, where is she at, Ladies in Red? We know the end is near. The last time she was here at Albion Park, she was able to win the Rising Sun, beating Better Eclipse and Leap to Fame. Pretty fair form, that. But right now, where do you think she's at?
Unsure, Chris. She's done some wonderful things in her career, but I really like her more over a middle trip.
Yeah.
So if she's parked out here, left to cut a big mile from the breeze, I think she'll be vulnerable. So that's why I'm happy to take her on. In early markets, she's priced up like she's just dancing to the front. I don't think that's the case, especially with Ludacris being able to control the map. So I'm going to take her on from a betting perspective here.
Okay, so what are you tipping then?
I'm going to go with the three-wide train and jump on the Arties Express wagon. What we've seen her be able to sweep home at Menangle in devastating fashion. I was against her last week. I honestly thought she'd get crossed. We'd never seen in her career if she had the gate speed to lead. But I think she can pretty much choose when she wants to be put into the race here. Go back. I Keep Smiling, and also Tay Tay. I think it's a really strong three-wide train. If they've gone hard up front, I can see those three horses working into the race beautifully and being really hard to beat.
Okay, so you're going 7, 11, 6, 2. Darren, you're with Ladies in Red?
Yeah, I think she's the one that, like I say, I think she can get to the front. Even if she doesn't, she might even end up 1-1 cover if RD's Express comes across looking for the front. So either way, I'm really with her. Like you said, mares don't win $1 million regularly, and there's very few that have. So I'm with her. So 2, 7, 11 and 6, like I mentioned, if they do burn hard and it's sort of 3 wide for a long way early, well then Tay Tay and I Keep Smiling get brought into this race beautifully.
Yeah, I think it's going to be quite tactical, this race. I'm not sure how it plays out, but I'm going with the class. Ladies in Red on top. Ludacris, I think, is the big winner with the barrier draw. Her efforts so far in the 2 starts have been more than okay, and she's got a prime opportunity here. Gate 1 at a mile. I Keep Smiling. She was awesome last week, running second behind Millwood Bliss and RD's Express. The gate's the concern. So 2, 1, 6, 7. Here's a question without notice again, guys. So Ladies in Red, more than $1 million, nearing the end of her career. Does she need to win this race, or is she already in the conversation with great mares like Blossom Lady, Taylor Made Lombo, Fleur de Lille?
She's probably just a level below them for mine, and no disrespect to Connections, but the fact that they have kept her 2 mares only class pretty much her entire career, I think you look at some of those others where they raced and beat everyone.
Right.
Yeah, well, I have Blossom Lady on a pedestal by herself for what she achieved at the Open Company level. You know, 100 Cup victories. She went around year in, year out. So for me, she stands above. But you can't knock. If she was mine, I would have done exactly what they've done here. Kept it to her own age and sex, and just pick them off.
Yeah, it's a great race, and it's going to be a great winner, no doubt, for 2024. It's race number 6, 7:47 start time. Race number 7 on Saturday night from Albion Park is the Bettervet Wayne Wilson Memorial Paleface Adios Classic. And without doubt, this is going to be the best edition of this feature because it's the final lead up for next week's big feature, the $500,000 Proto Star. And that is the richest 2-year-old event in the Southern Hemisphere. So there's a lot at stake, and many of these horses contesting this feature on Saturday night are guaranteed starters. So Hesitate in, Bittersweet in, Sweet on Lexi in, 40 Love in, Fader Waits in, and maybe Fire Razor, if he performs well, will be the choice for Kevin and Kay Seymour with their Solid Earth slot. Only the 1 slot remains, so this is going to be a cracking race. Let's have a look at this recent trial from Albion Park featuring Bittersweet and Fader Waits. As we pick up the replay, that's Fader Waits in front and Bittersweet is sitting on his back. The time in this trial is 1:51.4. I'll repeat that, 1:51.4. That is the fastest time a 2-year-old has ever recorded, whether it be a race or a trial at Albion Park. And just looking at this replay, both of them hit the line and go through the line really well, pulling well clear of their rivals. Ryan, what was your take on that trial?
Sexy.
Yeah. I was hoping you would say that because you took the words out of my mouth. That was awesome.
Yeah. They are both elite juveniles in their own right. can't wait to see them clash twice in 2 weeks.
Yeah. So as it stands now, just a quick one, we're just missing the highlight reel and Sagano. They're confirmed for next week. How do you line up some of these sort of form lines? Like they're coming from Queensland, New South Wales, Victoria. It's not easy to line them all up.
Oh, absolutely not. But in some ways, that's the beauty of it as well. The pre-carnival, I thought the way the Rising Star was pulling together was going to be the race of the carnival. But the Proto Star is shaping not only the race of the carnival, it might be the race of 2024 across all states. It's something else.
Yeah. And then you got my Alderman Barney, Darren, who stepped out at Penrith on Thursday night, went unbelievable time there. He joins the party next week. This is going to be mouth-watering.
Some race. 153 at Penrith, that's just unheard of, especially for a juvenile. I remember I owned a horse and I was stoked. He went 2-2 at Penrith and I thought he was a world beater. So here's a 2-year-old going 153. So it's, like you said, 5 of the 10 Protostar runners line up in this Wayne Wilson Paleface Adios. It's really going to set the sort of profile for next week if it's not already there. Those other 2, the highlight reel, Sagano, to come into the mix as well. So this race is really shaping as all important to next week, because I think too, you take into the fact there might be a few statements need to be made, or just even though it's only a lead up for that $500,000 race, just perhaps putting something on the line and saying, hey, I'm here as well.
Last year, this race won by Go Colour My World. It took over 157. I think they're going to go a little quicker than what they did last year, with no disrespect to the connections of Go Colour My World. How did you map this race? Bittersweet draws gate 2 now with the early scratching of a Hoka Dream. Does she find the front from Hesitate? How did you sort of map it? Yeah,
I think she does. You go back through Hesitates, he's had 5 starts. He's been very scratchily off the arm in each of those. Couple of second row draws, but still probably yet to really mature into the full package at this stage. He's a very nice horse, and for quite some time a lot of the commentary has been that the highlight reel is the peak 2-year-old in the country. Well, Hesitate trialled against him the other night and took ground off him in the stretch, and took significant ground off him, I thought, as well. So I think they'd be quite happy enough to take a trail here on Bittersweet, knowing what she has done in that trial. She did force her way to the front in that trial. We didn't quite see it in that video. From the mile, she was sort of kept wide a little bit, found her way to the front at the 1200, then let Fadeawaits go thereafter. And she did do that work through that early quarter as well. So Fadeawaits, he's the lone second line runner. He gets the opportunity to pop off the fence early if Hesitate doesn't kick through. So, it puts it a little bit interesting perspective there. 40 Love, what do they do? Eyes on the prize for next week and just finish off strongly, or do they get forward and try to, like I said earlier, make a little bit of a statement? But no disrespect to Fire Razor or Dance with Karma, I think they're the 2 that probably will need to be taking a huge significant step in this race.
Okay, Ryan, I spoke with Grant Dixon on air during the week. I put it to him, where does Fadeawaits rank with his 2-year-old talent of previous seasons? And he put him up there. He's number 1. So unbelievable cruising speed, he said. He's just got great speed all round. So are you with Fadeawaits, or are you going with this filly who looks like a 3-year-old colt, Bittersweet?
I'm with the filly this week off this setup. I think she leads on her ear. Hesitate in the trail. Fadeawaits 3 pegs. I wouldn't be surprised if now there's only 7 runners in the field. They're, for a brief moment in time, they're running single file until perhaps at the Bell or the 800, and then a Sweet on Lexi, starts to try to get Granite out into the running line. The Protostar looms large here. Yeah. I don't think anyone's going to want to really cook up their 2-year-old. So for me, Bittersweet controlling on the front end, I think she'll do enough to get away with it. Yeah, I'm sort of thinking along those same sort of lines. That Bittersweet, perfect setup for her on the weekend. So if she's in front, knowing that they've got, the big grand final next week, this is just a really good opportunity for her to take some glory here. So Bittersweet on top, Fadeawaits, I think they're the main 2. Hesitate, he's just going to get that perfect spot there from the inside draw. And Sweet on Lexi, if they do overdo it,
he was unbelievably good behind Duke of Scotland last time out, and we'll watch with interest with Duke of Scotland earlier in the program. So good race, but I'm looking at numbers 3 and 8. 3, 8, 1, 5. Darren?
Yeah, pretty similar. I really like Fadeaways. From when he started his career, took on older horses. He then won at 2100, which we don't see the 2-year-olds have to do that often, and really strong in that race as well. His run in Melton was super when he went down for the Nutrient final. So I think he can get over the tops here. 8, 3, 1, 5, but yeah, very similar.
Okay, and Ryan, you're with Bittersweet going 3, 8, 1, 5?
Yeah, Bittersweet on top, just with the barrier draw edge. That's the only thing that splits them for me.
Yeah, it's a great lineup. It's a great field for an iconic broadcaster in Wayne Wilson. So it's going to be a classic race there tomorrow night, no question about it. We look forward to it because it is the final lead up for next week's feature at the Proto Star. That is race 7 coming through from the Creek. The main race on the program on Saturday night is the Garrard Sunshine Sprint. It's an iconic race for the Sunshine State. First started back in 1983. The honour roll, like I said at the start of the program, is littered with champion paces. And here we are with Leap to Fame, fresh off that crushing victory last week in the Mr. Feelgood, chasing back-to-back victories, looking to become the first horse since Hector JJ did it back in 2016-17. And he's at a very short quote to do so after landing gate number 4. Ryan, your first thoughts when you learned of the draw that he come up with that nice front row draw and fresh off what he delivered last week, did you just think this is game over?
My first thought was, how do they beat him?
Yeah.
Unbelievable last week. 51 flat, not let go, plug still in. I haven't seen too many better performances live, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. How do they beat him?
Yeah, well, I'm not sure they can. I think that's what it comes down to. The only way you could potentially entertain is a Redcliffe Patrons Purse repeat in that he gets out sprinted. The difference being he's back at the Creek where it's a bigger track. They don't have that sort of, the 3-turn configuration, that last turn where it's a bit sharper and the shorter straight. So it changes the whole dimension of the race in that regard. So I'm really running out of superlatives to how good Larry is.
So do you map him in front, or do you think Grant Dixon is confident and comfortable sitting parked to win this race?
Either way. I think from a really tactical point of view, Grant would be able to be in a position where he gets to sit outside the leader, which could potentially be district attorney, and just content to sit there, and then if anything, they're going too slow, anything starts to come up, well then he pushes on, or even from the breeze, just content to really grind him into the ground, because we know his high speed for a continued length of time is so good, and with that in mind, nothing from the back then is going to make any ground, as we saw in that race there.
Last year he was able to come off the speed and score, race record time, 50.2, just going back. And when you look at this field, would you say last year's field is a little deeper or quite, similar to what he faces this weekend?
I think it's similar in quality, but perhaps the barrier draw, the way it's fallen, has sort of robbed the race of competitiveness.
Okay. So mapping it, you're going to have him in front?
Yeah, I think he pushes his way to the front purely off the fact that if District Attorney, his best hope is probably trying to do what he did at Redcliffe, and that's to out-sprint him. And under that scenario, he gets to the fence first. Don Liu probably kicks up and does a similar sort of thing, tries to hold a spot. But if District Attorney gets out, gets to the fence, well, he knows he's going to get a terrible headache if he tries to park him. So does he just go slow enough to force Leap to Fame to the front? And that's where we say that tactical battle really comes into it. So, I think he gets to the front. Who then off the front line pushes forward? It probably has to be Hector that gets to the breeze, unfortunately for Hector. But Simply Sam then probably ends up in a perfect 1-1 spot. He was the flashing light run last week when he got into open space. So, from there, hi, my name is Jeff. Would have really made this race interesting if he wasn't an OD runner. 10-horse field, he has to draw 10, so that's where it's ended up.
Mm. Would have Connections checked that before making the trip north?
It's a long way to come knowing that you're OD.
It's a real head scratcher, isn't it? Like, you would have trialled or...
Yeah.
There's two main points for that for mine. Yes, he was always going to draw out there. And the other one, he hasn't really handled a 1,000-metre track of late. He's done all his racing at Menangle where he is a jet, absolute jet. He's got that early speed and can run it. So, yeah, a little bit different, but,
He's drawn behind Leap to Fame. So do they just punch through and get him up there? Like, maybe he's 3 deep the trip.
Yeah.
He could easily be 3 deep the trip.
I think you'd have to take Team Grimson's tactical suggestions on face value, and that they'll try and lead on District Attorney and basically punch through on Jeff and then hand over, and that lets Jeff to the breeze. I think that's probably the most logical way it plays out. But I don't think Grant will fall for the same trick twice. He will make sure that it is not a dash home.
You're tipping Leap to Fame. What are you marking as the multiple options here?
Yeah, District Attorney for second here. He does seem to have that snap speed, so perhaps he can get over, and once he finds the fence, he's certainly going to be a really excellent place chance. Simply Sam, the Robbie Morris team have got this horse absolutely flying. He could not be going any better. The job they've done with him just should be applauded. And Narano, well, he loves a bit of tempo and he's going as good as ever.
Yep. I'm going to go 4-3-2-1. Darren, you're going?
I'm going 4-3-10-2. I just think if Typo ends up on the back of Simply Sam, sort of that 1 out, 2 back spot, he's going really well. 2 Menangle wins against his name coming into this. He was balloted from this race last year, head-scratchingly so, and forced to come out and make a statement to get in the Blacks to Fake. He did that with a 150-2 win here at Albion Park, so he can run some time and he can run it on this track.
Okay, some Sunshine Sprint trivia before we wrap it up for this race. Which trainer has won this race more than any other trainer?
John McCarthy?
Correct, 3 in total. Who has driven in more Sunshine Sprints out of Luke McCarthy, Grant Dixon, Shane Graham, who are all competing again tomorrow night?
Grant Dixon.
Luke McCarthy with 16, Shane Graham, Grant Dixon 14 each. Has a mare ever won the Sunshine Sprint?
No.
No is the correct answer, and there's no mare lining up tomorrow night, so I just thought I'd throw that one in. How many Inter-Dominion winners have won the Sunshine Sprint?
Leap to Fame?
Yep.
Leap
6
to
is
Fame.
the answer. So 6, Leap to Fame. I'm the Mighty Quinn, Mr. Feelgood, Blacks are Fake, Young Mr. Charles Thorate. How many Miracle Mile Sunshine Sprint winners have we had?
3.
5. Leap to Fame, Be Good Johnny Sokiola, Double Identity, Franco Tiger. It's a great race. It's steeped in great history. As I said, it's an iconic race with an iconic name for the Sunshine State, and I'm looking forward to the 2024 edition, hoping that our great mate Larry can go back-to-back. Start time for the feature is 8:57. The Pride's Easy Feed Trotters Sprint is the last of the features coming through on Saturday night, and this is going to be a cracking edition. Last year, this race was won by Sugar and Spice, rating fast time, 55 and 6. The track record at the mile for the Trotters is held by Van Sank, 54.7. Darren, this is going to be quite an interesting race because it's deep. This is a good lineup. Gus is certainly on a tear. Mufasa Metro up from Victoria. He was placed in the Inter-Dominion Grand Final. London to a brickbacks up out of last week's Great Square. It's loaded, this race. Do they get close to the track record?
I certainly think they can, especially Mufasa Metro with his early speed and can get across. And, there's a bit of pressure then there. Potentially defensive guy, Constantinople, going up and having a bit of a look and really test that speed out. So, yeah, it's definitely within shot.
Okay, Ryan, is it a race in 2, though, between Mufasa Metro and the absolutely airborne Gus? Are they the main 2?
Oh, they're the main 2 players, but I think there's a few other sneaky hopes. The best of Constantinople is very, very good, and London to a brick, he might bounce off last week and flex here against the big boys.
Okay, this would have been interesting mapping this race because Adele's back in the draw. For so long, we see her either in gate 7 or gate 10 or 12, whatever the size of the field is. But here she is, back in the draw. Lo and behold, she's got the inside gate. So does she have any sort of chance of holding up from the inside? Or with those drawn to her immediate outside, Majestic Harry, Mufasa Metro, do they just clear easily?
I don't really know. She's been that drawn wide continuously at Albion Park for so long. What actually happens? If she can trot cleanly and sort of maintain her sort of stride there and hold the back of Mufasa Metro, because he certainly looks early speed. Majestic Harry can get out as well, but Mufasa Metro, I think he's sort of just got that different level of early speed. And with Majestic Harry drawn side by side with Adele, if she holds that, well then Mufasa Metro, she might get the perfect trip, and that brings her right into it. Her closing speed is so strong. I thought she got there last week against Constantinople. She just come up an eyelash short, which was disappointing. But yeah, I think she can certainly burrow through and hold a forward spot.
Okay, so you've got Mufasa Metro leading this race. Ryan, is this his best opportunity to take feature race glory? He's here next week as well for the Trotters Cup. That could be a little bit more stronger than what we see tomorrow night. And the other big question with this race, with Gus, he's back behind the mobile. He's coming out of the DJA series stand start. Is there any sort of concern? He's back behind the mobile, front row draw. Does he get a little bit of white line fever?
No concern from that perspective for Gus. For me, he's the complete package now. I think Pete can do whatever he likes here. He can go back and come with one run, or he can keep tabs on Mufasa Metro in the run and roll up and park up outside them. I do think barrier one for Adele's a big risk. She can get a little bit steppy, especially if asked early. I think Majestic Harry gets straight over, and then Brittany perhaps looks to take a sit on the big time performer in Mufasa Metro. I thought Gus, he wouldn't want to get too far back in the run here. Maybe he does have to creep forward, sit parked, and then it's a bit of a two-horse war up the straight.
Okay, we're looking at Gus dominate that DJA final last time out. He puts a space on his opposition. Defensive guy second, Majestic Harry running third. He's really at the peak of his powers right now. This is a good little test for him. Saturday night, the sprint race, and then next week the Trotters Cup, just to see where he sits amongst, you know, some of these better performers, the likes of Mufasa Metro, London to a Brick. They're obviously going to push towards the Inter-Dominion at the back end of the year, but this is a good couple of tests coming up this week and next week.
Absolutely, and you look how far this horse has come. He arrived March 2023 with the Turpin McMullen stable, a one-win trotter, and he's gone on and competed in an Inter-Dominion, and that Inter-Dominion last year with some massive runs. Still only a 4-year-old. Here he is, a 5-year-old. He's put together a streak now. Probably should be unbeaten. That one sort of blip on the radar was where he got put off stride when Constantinople broke in front of him. So he's got a massive... it's all upside with Gus, and I love him. He's a great little horse, and a few trotters that I have plenty of time for over the years. This guy's right up there.
Well, I was going to say, Just Believe, clearly number one, without a shadow of a doubt. But Gus has got that speed where maybe in a little bit more time to come, he could be a challenger to Just Believe, as crazy as that sounds right now.
I think that change-up speed is what's so impressive with him, and even he can do that work, so I wouldn't be surprised if they get forward here and just maybe turn the tables a little bit and just a race like this potentially see what he can do in that regard. So yeah, I'm really keen to see how he performs here at that next step up.
Ryan, are you tipping Gus or going with the Victorian?
Oh no, I'm with Gus. Yep, absolutely. I love what he's been doing. He's up. He's still on that upward swing. So for me, yeah, I'm sticking with Gus to beat the John Justice driven Mufasa Metro. Majestic Harry, he peaked on DJA final night. It was a great training effort. He certainly, from his barrier here, is a huge place hope. And London to a Brick, very good last week. I did think though, maybe just a touch disappointing. I thought when he was in such a striking position, close to rocking with attitude, I did think he would have prevailed up the stretch, but not to be.
Okay.
Do you think he's a better off the speed London to a Brick? Because I tend to think he might be.
Well, he's been driven tough
His last couple of starts now, and he's been able to respond to that, but maybe he is better coming off cover.
Yep. Could certainly be true.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting watch for him tomorrow night. Just from that draw, it makes it, potentially tricky with Adele drawn in front of him, and we're not sure what to expect. So I'm going 6 to beat 3. I think one of the two win this race tomorrow night. 6 and 3 clearly, and then 1, 9. They're my selections. Which way are you going?
Yeah, same hymn book.
Yep, okay. That's
Trotters Sprint. That is going to be a good race. It's race number 9. 9:28 is start time, so we look forward to that race coming through. That's the last of our features. Let's go to our interviews this week. We're going to chat with Angus Garrard and Shane Graham. Angus Garrard jumps in the hot seat to go through his drives on Garrard Sunshine Sprint Night. He's with us now. Angus, appreciate the time.
Not a problem. Thanks for having me, Chris.
They've set you a challenge here in the first of the features on Saturday night. Race 2, the JC McMullen. Nick's pick is your drive. He's drawn the outside of the second row at a mile, so it's not going to be easy.
Yeah, that's right. It makes it super tough, but I think he's in the right form anyway.
Well, he's the class horse of the field. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's probably a couple that have stepped up in the last couple of runs and looked really good, but when you go through what he's been racing lately, it probably is a bit of a step back in grade for him.
And that probably explains why the form looks a little bit patchy there, 08572. But when you look at what he's been racing against and what he drops back to here on the weekend, he is certainly going to be a threat. That last start effort when second, really good, but just a couple of weeks between runs. Was that the key to that result there that day?
Yeah, I think so. We just sort of did a little bit of work on him at home, and he raced really sharp last time out, and I think he'll be better this time again.
Okay. The way he finished off in this race, that was the most pleasing part. Has he trained on since?
Yeah, for sure. As you say, he finished off super, and his work's been sort of as good, if not better, since then. So positive signs for Saturday night.
Okay, when you look at this front line, it looks overloaded with pace. So that's a good thing for you. The harder the better early in this race?
Yeah, for sure. If they go super fast, it'll suit us down to the ground.
Okay. Is Duke of Scotland the horse to beat, or Ironclad with Gate 1? Are you looking at those two in particular as the hardest to beat?
Yeah, I think Duke of Scotland looks sort of pretty clearly the one to beat to me. His last start effort was super, and I think Pete and Chantelli got a pretty good rap on him, so I think he'll be sort of on the front end and very hard to run down.
Yeah, he looks the untapped talent, doesn't he?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, well, that's Nick's pick, your drive there in race number 2. What about race 3, the Sunshine Sprint Constellation? Classy Washington, 2 runs back following the Inter-Dominion campaign back in December. He's had no luck, in particular last week. You look back at this replay and you've had to make a pretty nasty check there when Jim RT went for that late break. Are you overall happy with Classy Washington?
Yeah, certainly, Chris. I think, last week he felt as good as he ever has, and, I think he's racing in super form. He probably looked a little ordinary on face value the other night, but as you say, we sort of copped a check at the wrong time and we were going super fast, so I certainly can't take anything away from him.
How costly do you think that little check was last week? How much ground do you think you lost?
Oh, look, it's hard to say, but, it was right when we were sprinting, and it sort of let all those other ones that he might have been in front of at the top of the stretch past him before we sort of got a clear go again. So, it's hard to stop and start when they're going as fast as they were on Saturday night, and, he found the line nice, and I was happy enough with him, and he's trained on really well since.
Okay. It just shows how much depth there is in Queensland right now with these features, that we've got a consolation of this race, and it's loaded with chances. It's hard to pick one above all others.
Oh, for sure. It's super strong, and, you look at the Sunshine Sprint field and this field, and it's sort of pretty similar to the Rising Sun and the Constellation of the Rising Sun last week. They're sort of stacked with talent across the board, and probably not much difference in sort of what they're going to run, sort of thing.
Okay, Blazing Home comes out of the Rising Sun last week. A little unlucky as well after getting caught up behind Luxor Turner and Soho Spectre. Deus Ex comes into this race off a PB performance last time out, and they've drawn ideally here in 1 and 2. Are they the hardest to beat?
Yeah, for sure. The draws are everything really in these races, and as you say, they're both in good form. Deus Ex was sort of back to his best last time out, and looks like he'll probably jump on the bunny, as you'd expect on Saturday night.
Are you going to chance the arm and have an early look, or are you going straight back?
Oh, look, it's a little hard to say. It's hard to go back and win, and it's sort of hard to work hard early when they're going fast and win. So, we've sort of got to weigh it up, see how he feels, but, we've probably got to be sort of winning or running a really good race if we want to get around the Blacks fake. So, we'll just see what happens.
All right. The big one for you on the weekend, though, is the Hayden, and there's plenty at stake here. Great prize money, but the chance to start in the world's richest race, the Eureka. Ragazzo di Tilly. When you first looked at the field, what was the initial reaction?
It was probably what I expected, Chris. We'd sort of had a bit of a think about it in the last few weeks and come up with what we thought would probably be there, and it's panned out that way, I think.
Okay, what did you think of the draw?
It's not ideal, but it's not the worst either. We've got options, so that's sort of our start anyway, and we can sort of weigh it up and see what all the others are doing in the early stages.
Could the distance of this race, find out a few of the rivals here?
Yeah, it could do. It could do. It'll be interesting to sort of see what happens early. We know Ellis Street's got good gate speed, and they held up last time out racing the older horses, so you would sort of expect they'd be keen to do the same again if he's right. And then you've sort of got For Real Life out there and Free Thinker drawing the second line. They're probably sort of the main players you'd think, so it'll be interesting to see how it plays out.
All right, let's dig a little deeper with your guy, though. He went, 4 straight victories and then 6th 2 starts ago, 9th last week. Just on those last 2 runs, you never got out 2 starts ago when 6th, climbing all over them. How did you assess the performance last week?
I was happy with him. We sort of got hung out there 3 wide for a fair way. I sort of took the chance to get across I Keep Smiling early and thought we could work into a good spot fairly comfortably, but a couple there wanted to drive on and probably had us hung out there longer than we wanted to be, and going faster than we wanted to be. But I actually think he needed that run, Chris, to be honest. I think it's really picked him up, to be honest. His work's been awesome this week, and he sort of blew up pretty good on Saturday night like he needed it. So, I think we'll take improvement out of last week.
Okay, and just looking at that outcome of that race, I think the top 3 there, Millwood Bliss probably the favourite for the Queensland Oaks. I Keep Smiling, a leading chance in the Group 1 Golden Girl, and Van Basten probably starts favourite in the last race on Saturday night. I think it's going to be a deep form race.
Oh, for sure. I don't really think you can look at that race and find any bad runs. They went super time over the trip, and we were sort of right in the thick of all the hard work early. So, we only got beat 15 or 16 metres and finished pretty much at the wheel of Free Thinker. So, I was happy enough with his run at the time, and I'm even happier with it now, seeing the way he's trained on.
Okay, tell me this. If you happen to win this race on the weekend, are you going to be more excited with the fact that you've won this race and the prize money carries, or are you already looking down the track a little bit further and knowing that you're going to be starting in the Eureka?
Probably haven't thought too much about it, to be honest, Chris. We'll just sort of focus on this one Saturday night. That'll be a great one to win, and we all know the Eureka is going to be super tough, and we're going to have to be spot on to sort of earn some good money there. So we'll focus on Saturday night. That'll be a massive thrill to start, and if we get a chance to head down to Sydney for the Eureka, that'll be awesome.
All right. Is he the pick of your drives there on the weekend?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, race 5, number 6, Ragazzo Day Tilly. Angus, as always, appreciate the time, and we'll see you trackside.
No worries. Thanks, Chris.
Shane Graham joins us to go through his book of drives for Saturday night. Shane, appreciate the time.
No problems, Chris.
Race 1, we start with Lover Resha. She's getting set for the Queensland Oaks next week. How do you think she lines up in this event on the weekend?
Yeah, look, it's probably hoping she had a drew a little bit better with the barrier draw being drawn on Sex, but she's out a little bit wide there. But she's racing good like last week. She probably on paper looked like she had a chance, but I'd say on the clock her sectionals would have been good. So she's racing good, and she'll need that right trip.
So in recent times she's been up against her own age and sex, so here she is taking on the older rivals here. So is this weaker or easier than what she's been contesting of late?
Yeah, look, I don't know how or where you'd situate it really. Like, she just got beaten one of those mares qualifiers, or run 3rd, and went terrific. So then she's had her 2 runs against her own age and sex and hasn't disgraced herself. So, I don't know whether it, it's still a hard field, but what she's been racing in is probably just as hard.
Yeah, she's dropping back to the mile, so that will that make her sharp for next week for the Oaks?
I think it was more Steve just wanted to sort of have a bit of continual racing with her, and he didn't want to go the fortnight between the runs. So she'll it's definitely will help her.
All right, the run into the first turn is going to be key here. If you can find a spot, great, but barrier 4 does look a little sticky.
Yeah, it does. and she gets out good without being exceptionally fast. So yeah, it's all going to be in the first 200 to see where we end up.
All right, well, that's Loverecious in the opener. Let's go across to race 3, Sunshine Sprint Constellation. Send It is your drive here. He was able to win last week. You prove that you've still got a few tricks in the bag. That was a gem of a drive last week.
Oh, look, it sort of all just worked out good. You know, we've got to follow through at the start, and yeah, I think it was more luck than anything else.
But once in front there last week, were you confident that he was going to, hold them all off?
Yeah, look, once he gets in front, he's a very hard horse to get past, and especially, for what he's been racing in, it was a drop back in grade. So, once he was in front, they were going to find it tough.
Okay, so he's going back up in grade on Saturday night. Gate 4, again, is it sticky? How does this speed map look early for you?
Yeah, look, it's he does get out of the gate pretty quick, especially when you ask him to. Like he held Deus Ex there over the 2100. So look, we're just going to have to light him up and come out quick, and see where we end up.
How do you sort of line up the gate speed of Blazing Home? Is he fast enough to match Deus Ex?
Yeah, look, I couldn't tell you, to be honest. I haven't really followed him too much, so we'll have to have a look at that. But it is, I've found over time, Gate Speed Menangle and Gate Speed Albion Park are two different ones. So some horses come up here and show more gate speed, and some horses come up and don't seem to be as quick, So yeah, it's hard to line up with them ones.
Another thing that's hard to line up is the overall form of this race, because they're coming from all different angles here, so it's hard to sort of put them all in the same basket.
Oh, that's right. It's a terrific field, and it just shows the depth in the open grade up here to get a constellation of this quality.
Yeah, I'm not sure we've ever had a Sunshine Sprint Constellation, have we?
Well, yeah, I wouldn't have thought we would have, and if we have, we haven't had it to this, amount. Like any of these horses probably wouldn't have been out of place in the main one.
Yeah, too right. Race 4, 3-year-old feature. This race last year won by the Lost Storm, who then came out and won the Queensland Derby the following week. You switch around this week. Last week you were driving Reset the Bar. This week you're driving Let Us Nip Ya. How do you sort of see this sort of shaking out?
Yeah, I think Let Us Nip You was sound last week. He got held up a little bit when he got shuffled 3 back the fence, but he hit the line all right when he was out. So yeah, look, if he gets the right trip, he's going to be thereabouts, I'd imagine.
Do you know what caused the swap around with drivers this week?
No.
Okay. So it's a deep field, as you would expect, with the Derby just 7 days later. Do you think Let Us Nip You's up to winning this race?
Yeah, look, I think he's for speed. He's quite quick, and he's probably as quick as any. But it probably just comes down to getting the right trip. So yeah, if he gets the right trip, I think he can let down and sprint with most of them. Was
Brad happy with the effort last week, or was he expecting a little more?
I didn't really ask him, and he doesn't really say much anyway. So I didn't worry about that.
Okay. Do you know if he's trained well this week?
I think he has. I think, yeah. Again, Brad doesn't say too much.
All right. Well, that's the 3-year-old feature. What about race 5, the Hayden Group 2 race? You've picked up the drive on Hot Rod Harry, and he's drawn out in gate 7. Is this too hard, or have some of these main rivals been going to the well a little too often of late?
Yeah, look, it's quite a good field, and he's a horse that's always shown a lot of ability, and probably mixes his form a lot with when he's on, and when he's not, sort of thing. So I'm sure if he brings his right game, he'll run a cheeky race.
Who's the horse to beat in this race, in your opinion?
Oh, look, there's a handful of them. I don't think you can really single out anyone. There's quite a few chances there.
Okay, so you just drive from luck. You're going back?
Yeah, he'll just go back, I'd imagine, and just have the one run. He seems a high-speed horse.
Okay, let's go across to the main one, the Garrard Sunshine Sprint. Your old mate Turn It Up. This is his 4th Sunshine Sprint. Will this be the year for him?
I doubt it, mate. He won't disgrace himself, but yeah, I can't see him crossing the podium first.
Okay, let me ask this then. At the barrier draw on Tuesday, were you hoping for a front row draw, or were you happy to draw the second row where you didn't have to use him early?
Yeah, look, I was quite happy to draw the second line, especially barrier 8 or 9, just because he is getting a bit older and they're going quicker now every year. So I think the more you don't have to use that gate speed, the better he is at the finish. So, yeah, I thought, it didn't really worry me where he drew, but, when it was 8, I wasn't totally disappointed.
Okay. 4th last year, 3rd 2 years ago, 4th 3 years ago. He's close.
Yeah, he's close, but look, if he could rack another 4th up or something, I'd be wrapped this year.
Okay, is Turn It Up, Leap to Fame, the obvious horse to beat here? Can he be beaten?
Oh, look, I think you can't say they can't be beaten, but, yeah, you wouldn't want to be on anyone else but him, really, the way he's going. He's just, seems to be getting better again.
Okay, I'm going to pose a trivia question to you here. Out of yourself, Luke McCarthy, Grant Dixon, who's driven in more Sunshine Sprints at Albion Park?
Oh, I'd imagine Luke would have.
Yeah, he's got you. This will be his 17th drive. You and Grant both lining up for your 15th. So you know what it's about. You've won one before with Avonova. So who knows? It could be the year for Turn It Up. He is drawn on the inside of the second row. So he could be that sniper late.
Yeah, look, he'll be just tucked away on the fence. And if he gets any sort of clear gut room and, providing they don't break 50, he'll hit the line good.
All right. And in the Trotters Sprint, you're driving Majestic Lavros, who's drawn the second row. He's a good fresh trotter. You know how much speed he's got. Can he play a hand here if they sort of overdo it early?
Yeah, look, I'd imagine Connections would be happy enough with that draw. You're in the run line and you're up. Should be up in the top half of the field. So, yeah, he's just a good old honest trotter. So I'd imagine he'll put his best foot forward.
It's an interesting mix. Adele's back in the draw and she lands the inside. You've got Mufasa Metro back. Gus is on a tear, but he's drawn out. So it will be interesting that first quarter.
Yeah, it will be, and especially over the short trip. Most of our trotters are better over the longer distance. So this is something different for them.
All right. Which drive are you most looking forward to there on Saturday night?
Look, we'll just go with Turn That Up and just hope we can run top 5.
Okay, well, the old boy in the stable, race 8, number 8, Turn It Up. Hey, Shane, as always, appreciate the time. We'll see you trackside.
No worries. Thanks, Chris.
Well, we've got to the pointy end of the show now. Time now to find out our best bets and our quaddie thoughts for this bumper program. 10 races, as I said, kicking off just after 5 o'clock. Let's find our good oil for this meeting tomorrow night. Ryan Spice, you are going to go first. What are you labelling as your best bet tomorrow night?
I thought late in the card, race 10, number 8, Rock and Roll Hammer is probably going to get a chance to bounce back here. Drawn on the back of who I thought could be the expected leader in Red Right Hand, and Luke McCarthy at the reins.
Okay, so Rock and Roll Hammer. I'm going to clash there. I'm coming up with Van Basten. Now, I was keen on Rock and Roll Hammer. I tipped him to win the Rising Sun last week. Van Basten comes out of the Rising Sun Constellation, but I thought there was a chance he could go forward, maybe even get the lead off Red Right Hand. So this is going to be quite an interesting final race tomorrow night. So I'm going race 10, number 3, Van Basten. Darren, your best bet?
Race 2, number 3, the Duke of Scotland.
Okay, I was hoping you'd say Red Right Hand just to make it an all-in brawl there in that last race, but Duke of Scotland it is. Race 2, number 3. Darren, your quaddie for tomorrow night?
Yeah, so races 5 through 8, the first leg, the Hayden, 2, 5, 6 and 9. Second leg, 2, 7, 11. The third leg, throwing in number 1, Hesitate with the two main players there, Bittersweet and Fade Awaits. Bringing home with number 4, Larry. In Larry we trust.
Yeah, 2 right we do. I'm going 2, 5, 6, 9 and 10. I'm going to throw in Apollo Dreams as the other horse there in the Hayden. He was placed in the Hayden last year. He did have a good draw though as a 3-year-old. 1, 2, 6, 7 in the mares feature. 3 and 8 in the 2-year-old. Bittersweet, Fade Awaits, and Sir Larry in that last leg, the Sunshine Sprint. Ryan, your numbers?
In the Hayden, Illustrate, For Real Life and Free Thinker. Going wide in the mares feature, Ludicrous, Ladies in Red, I Keep Smiling, Artie's Express, and one of the best roughies of the night, It's Ebony and Ivory, plus Tay-Tay. And then coming home nice and skinny, the 2 good 2-year-olds, Bittersweet and Fade Awaits, all into Larry.
Okay, so that's our best bets and our quaddie thoughts for this bumper program coming through at 5:05, race number 1. As I leave you guys tonight, we'll be back next week for the Blacks of Fate, the Grand Circuit race, the Proto Star, the Oaks, the Derby, the Trotters Cup, the 4-year-old championship, all in front of us next week. If Larry wins again tomorrow night, what can we expect if we're going to be trackside here next week? Should it be shoulder to shoulder? Because he's doing all the heavy lifting. will there be an all-out blitz as far as a campaign to get trackside here next week? What do you expect? What are you hoping for?
Yeah, well, you'd love to see people coming to support good horses, and they don't get any better than Leap to Fame. So it'd be great. We saw the ID23, a big crowd there. We'd love to see a big crowd for the final 2 nights. Sunshine Sprint, Blacks are fake. So we can't do any more than put the good horses on, and we've got good horses running, and potentially some free drinks to be had afterwards if he wins tomorrow night.
Ryan, your thoughts?
Yeah, that sounds great. And if he wins tomorrow night and we get an hour of free drinks, maybe Kevin Seymour pays for 2 hours of free drinks and they'll be packed to the rafters.
Yeah, well, let's just hope if he does win again tomorrow night that it is just going to be a full house for the final night of the Constellations. Here's hoping anyway. We'll see you all trackside Saturday night, 10 races, Garrard Sunshine Sprint race night, the Golden Girl. As I said, the first race getting underway at 5:05. We'll see you there.